Hello everyone, it's Farket here, and in this video I'm going to cover part 1 of the full release update for Sons of the Forest. There is so much stuff that's been added, and I just can't cover it in one video, because it's going to take so long to edit. I want to bring it down into small chunks, so it's easier to watch, and then once I've done all the parts I'll combine them all together and make a full video. There is no spoilers in this one, saving spoilers for the last video. Just going to cover the first couple of things that you'll see is that there's a new title screen, visuals and music. There's no option to switch between this one and the old one. Also, there's still a bug where if you alt-tab out of the game and you go to start a new one, it will default and head to exit. You'll see the flashing. An easy way to fix this is just to open options and then go back to the main menu. It will fix it. And the next one is that you'll get an early access save detected warning when you open up a save. And it states that gold armor, if owned, will be removed from your inventory. The gold door in the Hell Cave progress has been reset. The ending of the game, if completed, has been reset. All note pickup items have been removed from your inventory. Some parts of the terrain have been altered, which may affect your base. Old structures may not have full functionality or access to new building features. And to experience the full story and new cutscenes, we recommend starting a new game. I've looked over the map quite a lot with my zipline towers and my base and that sort of stuff. There isn't a lot of changes to the terrain. But if you're on the other side of the map, as they call it, it's more likely that there's been changes. And same with the snow area. Not a lot has changed, but I think this is going to be like the first and only time this is going to happen. I would recommend starting a new save, as they do too, because they just haven't optimized it, I think. Now, I'm going to cover the most interesting thing that was highlighted in the trailer, which was that they've added dying tactical soldiers with red flares that can be seen from the distance to help direct players towards the location. They don't stand out very well. You have to get quite close for the flare to render. And every time you go up to them, they will die. It's the same thing. It's actually quite disappointing, but hopefully in the future they'll make some changes that they might have some story, but they've got the exact same animation. As soon as you go up to them, they will die. I just highlight areas where there's goods and stuff, some story items, etc. They've often got a GPS locator on them too, so it makes it easier to find them with a GPS. You can't kill them either. They just die on their own. The next one is that they've added new findable tactical and worker dudes with GPS locators that appear nearby, helping direct players towards interesting locations. I've already covered the tactical ones, but the worker dudes is usually a cave with excavators, and there'll be fences up a lot of the time and that sort of stuff. They're usually just filled with items like duct tape, rope, other stuff like that. The first one I've shown on here actually has a blueprint for the glider boosting platform thing that you can build. I don't know if any of these items respawn. It probably depends on your game settings. They can be marked on the map with a blue question mark or a little orange spanner, I think it is. My eyes aren't as good as they used to be. And there's solidified in them as well, so it can be an easy way to get them without going into a proper cave. This is their way of filling out the map, I think. There's probably going to be more to come. They won't stop at full release, most likely. They added new world details, more paths, partially dug tunnels by the excavators, new Jianyu camps, I don't know how to pronounce that word, and 14 new mini caves and cellars. You'll find these throughout the map. There's heaps of them. It pretty much just covers what I've just gone through. They've doubled up in the notes a bit, but yeah. The Jianyu camps are the Asian dude, who I thought was a woman. It turns out he's a man. Because it gets on to the next part, that his helicopters will now take off and leave from bases around the map and occasionally hover over the player structures to check on them. He'll fly around you for a bit and then take off. I don't know if it's the soldiers or if it's him, I got no idea. Next is that they've added a new sickness system tied to drinking unclean water or eating bad food. Drinking clean water or eating meds will cure the sickness. From what I can tell, it just drops your health by about 25%, which is a pretty big chunk, especially if you've got no armor. Decent realism survival mechanic that's been added. And you'll get a "you are sick" thing sitting in the bottom left. Yeah. Next is they've added campfire smoke plumes to villages that can be seen from a distance and will go out if there are no enemies there to tend to the fire. This might sound gimmicky and just more realistic, but it's actually quite useful if you're flying over with a glider. You could see potential base locations. Maybe you don't want to build near one of their camps, for example, but it's also realistic, I guess. I don't know if your fires do it. I went in and cleared one of their bases to see what actually happened, if the fire and the smoke did go out, and it didn't seem to work, so maybe there was one nearby I didn't kill, I've got no idea. Next is that they've added a range and valid target readout to the rope gun. This is very similar to the mod that Tony Macaroni made. I don't think there's any credit given. I don't think N9's intentions are bad, but it's pretty much identical. It doesn't have the clicking sound change the further you get away, it gets a higher pitch. That was still something valid of Tony's. Though it looks good and it's useful. You don't have to mod it in now. But you can shoot at a range of 50 meters and it's got a range of 150 meters before the cable will disconnect. So keep an eye on the readout. It's very useful. And yes, it's the metric system. It's beautiful, isn't it? Next is that they've added raccoons and they gave the ability for squirrels and raccoons to climb trees. Now, raccoons don't drop a raccoon skin like they did in the forest, which was only used for one thing. It was the warm suit in the forest. I went and checked it. They're just another animal that's been added to the game to add immersion. Hopefully they add wolves or bears or some more hostile creatures. I did notice a cannibal chasing raccoons, so it looks like they do engage with each other. You only get one meat from it and a raccoon head if you do kill them. Next is that sea turtles now respawn at a rate of 1 per day, which is 4 times faster. This is very good. In my Season 2 playthrough, I had a spot I went down to, and they never respawned there. I don't know why. And I checked down there about 50 times. So hopefully it fixes that issue. And they also added 10 more sea turtle zones and some more additional zones around the map. It's probably best checking on the maps that people make on websites to figure out where they would be. There'll be more. The map's just too big. It needs more stuff. They've renamed the glider to Foldable Glider, and it can now be hotkeyed and stashed into the inventory. There's no default button. You've just got to assign a hotkey, say 0, for example. Now, you do drop it if you hit the ground hard, I believe. I think that's what causes you to drop it, but you can just pick it up again. I don't know if any of you have seen a glider in real life, but they're ridiculously big. But, you know, it's good that you can carry it. That's what made the forest one quite useless. You couldn't carry it. They adjusted hang glider downforce when pitched up to make it easy to gain altitude. Now, this is actually semi-realistic. I think there's called like wind tunnels when you're gliding, and they can boost you up. But I don't think you could just do it anywhere. But basically, you could stay in the air forever. But that doesn't account for your other needs like food, water, sleep, etc. But yeah, you can. Golf carts and hang gliders now appear on the GPS when nearby. So to show you an example of what it looks like, in the snow it's actually quite hard to see. For example, the glider icon is white, and on snow it makes it a bit harder to see. And the golf cart is a little blue steering wheel. Moving on to golf carts, they now come equipped with radio decks and a GPS screen, which is a cool addition. Tony Macaroni actually made a mod that covered these things and added a few other things like a shelf to the back and log holders on top. I think the shelf on the back and the GPS is good, but logs on top would probably make the golf cart fall over. But also that's where the solar panel was. Maybe N-Night took inspiration from this one as well. They've increased the headlight brightness on golf carts as well. During the day it was very noticeable. At night it was really dark still. I used an NVIDIA filter to get it a little bit more brighter. I could see a bit better. I don't know what it is with N-Night. They just really hate light and brightness, it seems. The game's just so dark overall everywhere, especially caves in at nighttime. Good thing we've got filters and stuff though. They added more golf carts to the golf course and around the map and made more connecting paths to drive them on. They added a snow remover to the snow golf cart plow. Just a golf cart with a snow plow on it, and when you're driving around it does clear the snow, but about 20 seconds later the snow just respawns. I guess it's just a realism thing, but it'll be a fine addition to someone's collection. They added a flashing exclamation mark and a bright red light to discoverable laptops. I think this is really important because those things can be easily missed, and they're key to finding out where these locations are, like bunkers and such. If you miss them, you probably wouldn't even know you missed them, and you'd have to go and backtrack and find them. They probably should even add an audio indicator as well, just in case people miss them. Like if you're running out of the room to escape enemies and you don't go back into the room, or you forget, I don't know, just ideas. The next one is one of the best that they've added in this game. I wish the forest had it too, but the Rebreather mouthpiece is now moved off screen when leaving the water. So it automatically equips and unequips. So you don't have to go into the inventory and remove it. It's so good. It still takes up a lot of the screen, but it's still cool. Here's one change that is going to be very important for most players who play normal or who are coming back to the game. And that is containers don't refill on load. It's set to true by default in normal games. So you have to go to a custom game to switch this back on or off. Yeah. So all the containers in the world won't refill, which affects the game a lot. It makes it significantly more difficult. You have to plan where you're going to be going to get resources. You can't just keep raiding the same outdoor spot like the starting area. It's a good change. It does make the game more of a survival game like it's supposed to be, because otherwise you can just save and reload over and over again and just get stockpile of items. It's kind of silly. It was a problem with the forest, which made the forest quite easy. My advice to get adapted to this is find caves or bunkers, because the stuff in there respawns, and maybe have a zipline system going to them or just build near them. You'll figure it out. It's a good change, but it might be hard to adapt. or you can just switch it in the custom game mode. The next change is that they've added AMD Super Resolution 3, which is FSR 3. Now, I don't know much about this one as well because I've got an NVIDIA card. I can just use DLSS, though I have heard very good things about FSR 3. I was surprised in the last update that they only added FSR 2. Now they've added the 3, which apparently is a lot better. You've got ultra performance, performance, balanced, and quality. Ultra performance on FSR 3 is pretty bad, but it looks a lot better than FSR 2 on ultra performance. I couldn't tell the difference between balanced on FSR 3 and DLSS. This is a huge addition because if you don't own a 30 or 40 series NVIDIA card, you cannot use DLSS, which is stupid and greedy of NVIDIA. Even if you've got a 10 series card, you can't use it. It's dumb. Probably even 20 series. But AMD to the rescue, you can use this on any card, AMD or NVIDIA. So your 1080 Ti's, your 2060s, etc., you're all good to go. I'm just going to cover a few unmentioned changes. These weren't in the update notes. I'll probably find more along the way. We'll just wait and see. The shark in the Rebreather cave now finally appears. It may have appeared for some of you. I've heard in multiplayer it appears, but in single player, I was never able to get the thing to spawn. This is the first time I've seen it here. I don't know if it was a bug or not. I jumped in the water and went right up to it. It just looked at me. I think it bugged out. I don't know. I think there's limbs there you're supposed to chuck to it so it can eat, and then it gets distracted because apparently sharks in this game won't attack you if they've eaten. I don't know. They don't even do that much damage. Sharks in this game are piss ants compared to the ones in the forest. The forest ones will kill you in 2 hits. These take like 10. Kind of silly. The next unmentioned one is a pretty bad one. In the update prior to this one, they added the inability to climb steep hills. So you can no longer climb like the mountain in the middle of the map. But you can, you just got to find different angles. But they added something next here, which is that if you start sliding, you'll slide uncontrollably and it's fast. I had God mode on in this one. If I didn't, it would have killed me, man. This never happened before this update. I don't know what this change is, but it's pretty bad. Is it realistic? I guess probably, but it's just going to kill so many people and it's just not going to be fun. This game oversteps the realism boundary quite a lot, and I think it hurts the game quite a lot, but that's just my take. And lastly, the unmentioned change is that they've removed some console commands. I don't know which ones exactly, but the ones I use often is add character, which you can add in anything in the game. So creatures, animals, mutants, cannibals, all that sort of stuff. They've removed that and they've removed the go-to command. I don't know why they did this, but I did come across some information that devs don't like their updates being spoiled. And the number one spoiler of updates and new content are streamers. Because streamers will often cheat just to find the new content to be first, just to get more views, more clicks and stuff like that. Content creators in general can be like that. Because this has happened again and they add the console commands back in. And it's often story items that you can't add. So like blueprints and things like that, the artifacts, you couldn't add them. Eventually will be modded back in, or most likely Night will just add them back in as well. So if you're wondering why these aren't here, I'm assuming blame the streamers. But that's it for this update video. There's still more I've got to cover, but it's just going to take time. But hopefully I should be able to push out one a day. Anyway, if you like this video, make sure you like and subscribe. Cheers.